We're often told that all women are the same regardless of their age. Many men believe that a woman's mindset is the same regardless of how old she is. But this is simply not true. While many women tend to be, a male depository when they're young, if you treat them the same way when older, she'll simply think you're a jerk. Much like men, women have different priorities when they grow older. They start thinking about life differently and will ultimately make different choices. But men often don't realize this and continue seeing her as this young, wild, and reckless kind of person. Today, we look at 14 psychological facts about older women that men don't know, but should. Why are older women different? Before revealing the important facts, it's also valuable to know why women are so much different when they're older. You see, an older woman has gained life experience. She's seen different things, and many of them have also learned from past mistakes. In fact, it's human nature to continuously learn new things and make mistakes when you're younger. If you don't believe me, think of something you're extremely ashamed of about your past. Would you make that same mistake now that you know the consequences? Probably not. Well, women think the exact same way. She might have done a few things that she's not proud of when she was in her 20s, but by the time she hits her 30s, these things tend to change, and she begins making different choices in life. Secondly, there are a few things that happen at a biological level, but we'll get into that in just a few moments. The most important thing you need to know as a man is that you should not treat someone who's in their 30s the same way you would when they're in their 20s. It'll never work, and you'll often just make yourself out to be a foolish child in many cases. Now, keep in mind that there will always be a few women who simply cannot seem to shake the youth mindset. It's important that you watch some of our other videos to learn how you can spot a woman who's not yet fully matured. We recommend staying away from them, but there are also a few ways that you can deal with such a person. Ideally, you want to find an older woman who's accepted her age and tries to act the part. This makes it much easier, and you don't need to deal with the mental frustration of a teenager caught up in the body of a middle-aged woman. Nevertheless, there are a few psychological things you need to know when you date an older woman that'll make life 1,000 times easier for you. Number 1, her biological clock is ticking. In the rare event that you meet a woman in her 30s who has not yet had children, you need to understand some of her desires. Despite what people tell you, everyone wants to experience what it's like to be a parent, and life also gets very lonely when you reach the age of 40 and you don't have children. You need to keep in mind that these women will have a strong tendency to settle and begin building their nest. In fact, she wants to have children before it becomes too dangerous or might even be too late. This means that such a woman no longer wants to enjoy the wild roller coaster of a life she might have once desired in her 20s. However, women who have children might actually act the opposite way. She might tell you that she doesn't want children and now wants to enjoy her life. While this is great, and it takes a special man to do this, it's not really recommended unless you also have children of your own and don't desire to have more. Number 2, they don't want to play games anymore. One thing we've noticed with women is their tendency to be passive-aggressive. In fact, women need to play games with men to screen them. Yes, she's doing this to see if you might have any weaknesses, which she will use to move on to someone else. But this changes significantly when she's older. At this moment, she's already endured many bad relationships, which often stem from playing games. Not only has she learned many valuable lessons during this period, but she also understands what a good and bad partner is. These women simply want to have a mature relationship, where she doesn't have to fight for control of the relationship, and she'll still want to have something where she can settle. As mentioned in the previous point, she wants a nest and to slot right into her place in society. It's important to distinguish this difference between a mature and immature woman. Number 3, her taste becomes more sophisticated. As part of evolution, our 20s are often spent exploring. In fact, many people only find their true personalities when they're close to 30 or even older. Women also explore and learn new things, but as they grow older, they learn that the finer things in life matter. A common pattern we've found among older women is that as they begin to age and develop their careers, their taste changes to become more sophisticated. No longer does she want to look like an easy target to men when she goes out. She wants to look more sophisticated, which means her clothing will generally change. This is not a bad thing, and it'll also help her become the perfect woman for men following this channel who don't need the excessive stress and drama that an immature woman can bring to the table. Number 4, she's likely career-focused. Women's empowerment has taken the world by storm in the last few years. Women are now working just as hard as men to earn a decent living. Once again, this leads to a few psychological changes that happen. You need to accept that you might find a woman who's career-oriented, but in a good way. She's not doing this to impress anyone, but rather to build a stable life for herself and her children. It's critical that you truly respect this and try to help her build this kind of life if you want a successful relationship. Number 5, she wants a pre-selected man. Pre-selection is always attractive. Do you know why women often pursue married men instead of single guys? Well, they prefer a man who's already been screened by another woman, and it removes the need for her to have to do this screening. You might think that because you were married and had to go through a divorce, women no longer want to date you. But this is simply not true. In fact, it shows a woman that not only has other women found you attractive, but you also have experience in such a long-term situation. This is vital for a stable relationship. Number 6, she doesn't want to go out every weekend. A big problem in the modern world is that women want to go out and party. Yes, women have decided they only live once and they want to enjoy their lives, despite what it does to them in the long run. But once again, age always wins. Aside from not having the stamina to go out so often anymore, she also doesn't want to do it. It might be much more cozy for her to stay in and spend some time with the person she likes. If you are someone who still loves going out every weekend, you might want to consider finding a younger partner. Number 7, family becomes a priority. One thing you quickly learn as you grow older is that your family, or at least your close family, are the only people who truly care. In fact, men and women realize that their parents and other family members are now growing older, and they need to spend as much time with them as possible. Hence, the family mindset becomes a critical part of their life and their decision-making process. Subsequently, she also chooses to rather date a man who's more family-oriented as well. So, if you want to date an older woman, you should realize that you'll be spending a lot of time with her and her family if she's lucky to have any. Number 8, money is more important than ever. Before we get blasted in the comments by any older women watching this, you need to understand the difference between wanting money for fun and understanding how important it is. You see, older women have realized that money is now a tool for survival, and she doesn't want to suffer through life. This means that a man who has a stable income and works well with his finances is far more attractive to her than good looks. She desires someone who can provide some stability and ensure that she has a decent life as an older woman. You see, it becomes much harder to suffer through life when you get older. Number 9, she doesn't want to take as many risks. One of the best ways to describe this point is to look at the dumb things women do when they're younger. In fact, some women are pure adrenaline junkies, and they love to do ridiculous things they consider fun. But this is merely a phase, and women become more cautious as they grow older in life. As a man, you need to realize that when you date an older woman, she might not be open to some of the risque activities she used to do when she was younger. It might lead to a lot of arguing and her being overprotective. While you can still have your adventures, you need to realize that she might not want to. This is easily seen in your parents, perhaps. They might have loved camping together, but now mom would rather stay home while dad and the kids do it. Number 10, she's actually more turned on than ever before. Despite men thinking that women don't want to do the dirty flirty when they grow old, this is simply not true. Yes, a married woman might not want to do it with their partner, but it doesn't mean she doesn't still have this desire. In fact, many women have even admitted that their drive for intimacy is much higher now that they're older. They need to be satisfied, and they will crave it over and over again until you give it to them. If you want to have some great intimate moments and you don't want to wait for her to finally feel it, you should consider an older woman. As a side note, we should mention that once you put a ring on it, this desire magically might vanish. So do it at your own risk. Number 11, she still cares what the world thinks of her. One of the most frustrating things we've found is that women always care what the world thinks of them. In fact, she'll make poor financial decisions simply to make sure nobody judges her. On the other hand, men tend to care less and less about the opinions of the world when they age, and this often gives them more mental freedom and independence. As a woman ages, she might be more careful about what she does and what she says. In fact, some women will go above and beyond to try to stand out and have the community think she's special. Now, she doesn't want to impress her friends at the next party, but rather wants the community to see her as a powerful woman. Number 12. She wants to spend a lot of time with you. When a woman's young, she has many friends. These can be in the form of male or female friends. Unfortunately, these women have busy schedules, and they tend to want to spend each day with other people. Well, this is unless she's met a guy who's much more attractive than herself. But older women don't have the luxury of all these friends. In fact, most of them are probably married at this point, and it means that she now wants to spend more time with you. In fact, she's now seeing you as the only truly important person in her life. Well, that and the kids, of course, if you have any. So make sure that you understand that you'll be able to provide her with this if she needs it. Number 13. Older women are more emotional. Women, by nature, are extremely emotional, and this is often erratic at times. Older women who now find themselves in a relationship realize that their value drops significantly in the dating market due to age. This means that she's always fearful of ending up alone in life. Naturally, this means that these women are also much more emotional and tend to take things far more personally than they used to. She wants you to be kind and understanding of her plight. One thing to prepare yourself for is that these women will be more emotional and clingier. Number 14. She is set in her ways. As mentioned earlier, humans tend to explore a lot in their 20s. By the time we reach 30, we know ourselves much better, which means we know what we like and don't like in life. Women are the same, and through years of trial and error, she's begun to understand herself and what it takes to be a happy person. This means that you might run into a woman who doesn't have any way of compromise, and she's steadfast on how and what she wants. It can be quite a tedious process to learn and accept another person's habits, but this is what's needed when two older people get together. So you need to prepare yourself that the first few months might be quite complicated as you figure out what and where to compromise. Older women make great and stable partners, and they generally have outgrown the immature actions they used to indulge in when younger. But you need to understand how much different life will be when compared to someone younger. Understanding how to turn them on is also very important, but we've created a video explaining this in detail you might want to watch next.